Imagine you're a Nazi general during World War II. You scan the horizon and spot hundreds of enemy tanks, artillery guns, and troop convoys headed straight toward your position. Naturally, you panic. You redirect forces, reposition your units, and brace for a full-scale assault. But there's just one problem. None of it is real. The tanks? Inflatable. The soldiers? Actors. The entire army? A theatrical illusion. This was the Ghost Army. And it might be the most bizarre and most brilliant unit in U.S. military history. Let's rewind. It's 1944. The Allies are deep into World War II and preparing to liberate Europe from Nazi control. D-Day is just months away. Every real soldier, every tank, every bullet counts. But what if, instead of more guns, the Allies sent artists? That's exactly what they did. In complete secrecy, the U.S. Army assembled a unit like no other. Officially, they were called the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops. But unofficially? They were the masters of deception. Painters. Set designers. Radio engineers. Costume makers. Even Broadway sound technicians. Their mission? To fight without fighting, by fooling the enemy. This 1,100-man team didn't carry rifles. They carried paintbrushes, record players, and air pumps. Instead of attacking the enemy, they created fake armies out of thin air. Convincing enough to make German forces divert tanks, abandon strongholds, and completely misjudge the strength of the Allies. One of their favorite tricks? Inflatable tanks. That's right, life-sized Sherman tanks made of rubber. Crews would roll them out of trucks, inflate them like massive balloons, and line them up in open fields. From the sky, they looked absolutely real. Especially when paired with fake trucks, fake artillery, and tire tracks made by dragging chains behind jeeps. But visuals were just the beginning. These guys understood that a real army doesn't just look the part, it sounds the part. So the Ghost Army brought in Hollywood sound engineers to record the noises of troop movements, engines revving, metal clanking, soldiers shouting. They'd mount giant speakers on trucks and blast these sounds for miles, making it seem like a massive force was approaching. And to complete the illusion? They faked radio transmissions. Code-talking specialists would mimic real radio operators from other divisions. Using slang, call signs, and even personal chatter to throw off German eavesdroppers. The result? Entire Nazi divisions were tricked into thinking Allied armies were positioned miles away from their actual locations. This gave General Eisenhower and the Allied command a tactical advantage that saved thousands of lives. Because while the Germans were preparing to defend one location, the real Allied troops were attacking another. In one operation, known as Operation Brest, the Ghost Army impersonated a full armored division. They set up 300 inflatable vehicles, deployed fake radio chatter, and even used actors dressed as generals to be spotted by German spies. The result? The Nazis reinforced the wrong area, allowing the Allies to seize their target with minimal resistance. But the Ghost Army didn't just rely on equipment. They relied on performance. Members of the unit were trained to behave like soldiers from different divisions, down to the patches on their uniforms and the slang they used in French villages. They'd walk into cafes, loudly mention fake battle plans, then accidentally leave behind staged documents for enemy spies to find. They were living theater. And the world was their stage. Of course, it was dangerous work. If the Germans ever realized the deception, these unarmed men, surrounded by rubber tanks and sound gear, would have been slaughtered. But their success depended on remaining invisible. No credit. No photos. No headlines. Their story was classified for over 40 years. Even their families didn't know what they did during the war. Imagine coming home from Europe and not being able to tell anyone that you helped win the war, with a balloon. But now, thanks to declassified files, we finally know the full scope of their genius. Over the course of World War II, the Ghost Army carried out more than 20 deception operations across France, Belgium, Luxembourg, and Germany. In some cases, they held down entire sectors by themselves, tricking the enemy into thinking they were surrounded, when in fact, no real soldiers were anywhere nearby. They were so convincing that one German division surrendered, thinking they were outnumbered, to a force that didn't actually exist. It sounds like fiction. But it's all real. And get this. Some of the Ghost Army's members went on to become famous. Artist Ellsworth Kelly, fashion icon Bill Blass, and even photographer Art Kane were part of this elite deception unit. From camouflage to couture, these guys shaped both the battlefield and modern art. But their legacy isn't just in paint and smoke. It's in the thousands of lives they saved by preventing unnecessary battles. It's in the strategic victories won without a single shot fired. And it's in the idea that creativity, not just firepower, wins wars. In 2022, the U.S. finally awarded the Ghost Army the Congressional Gold Medal, one of the highest honors in the country. Long overdue, for the army that nobody saw coming. So next time you hear about tanks and battles, remember, sometimes, the most powerful weapon is imagination. Would you have believed it, standing on a World War II battlefield, that your biggest threat was a balloon in a uniform? Drop a comment if this story blew your mind. And don't forget to subscribe for more unbelievable true stories from history's forgotten files. And hey, next week? We're diving into the crazy tale of the pilot who landed a fighter jet on a moving train. You don't want to miss it.